Hi everyone, Rachel here from Moving to Canada. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in applying to work and travel in Canada through the International Experience Canada program. Before we dive in, here's a quick refresher on how the IEC visa process works. To apply, the first step is creating your profile. This is a key step because it's how you enter the pool of candidates. Once your profile is created, you'll be able to join and choose the IEC pools you're eligible for. And after that, it's a bit of a waiting game. IRCC holds IEC draws at regular intervals, and candidates are randomly selected to receive an invitation to apply for a work permit. And take note, only if you're selected will you be able to move forward and submit your work permit application. Now for this video, I'm going to walk you through that very first step, which is how to fill out your IEC profile on your IRCC account. So without further ado, let's get started. The very first step is logging into your IRCC account using your username and password. So you can do this by navigating to this link as seen on your screen. If you already have an account, simply sign in by selecting the appropriate button. But if you don't have an account yet, click the Register for an Account button and follow the steps to create one. And once you've successfully logged in, you'll be taken to your account dashboard. Next, once you land on your dashboard, scroll down until you see the header that says Start an Application. And under this section, click on the first link that says Apply to come to Canada. And this will take you to a new page where you can determine your eligibility for the IEC application. Once you reach the new page, look for the section titled Determine Your Eligibility and Apply Online, and select International Experience Canada. Next, you'll land on the Find Out if you're eligible to apply page. Now, most of the questions found here are specific to your circumstances, like the country of your passport, your current residence, and date of birth. So you'll need to fill these out yourself based on your personal details. Now let's go through the questions. I'll read them aloud and pause to provide clarity if anything seems unclear. The first question asks you to select the code that matches the one on your passport. Make sure you enter the passport you want to be associated with the application. So this one's pretty straightforward, so let's move on to the next. Next, what is your current country or territory of residence? So guys, this refers to where you're currently living, so choose the option that applies to you. If you're currently in Canada, make sure to select Canada. Finally, you'll be asked for your date of birth. Again, this is pretty straightforward, so just use the drop-down menu to select your correct year, month, and day. And on the lower right-hand side of the page, click Next. On the next page, the question is, do you have a letter proving that one of the following IEC recognized organizations will help you plan your trip or find work in Canada? So guys, if you are using a recognized organization to support your IEC application, then select yes, and then choose the appropriate name from the drop-down menu, and then click Next. But if you're not, simply select no, and then click Next. On the next page, the question is, what is your country or territory of permanent residence? So guys, this refers to the country where you legally reside long-term. So it's not necessarily where you're currently staying if you are on vacation or residing short-term in another country, for instance. So make sure to select the country that applies to your situation and then click Next. Now on the next page, the question is, do you plan to do a work placement or internship in Canada as part of your studies? The purpose of this question is to determine if you might qualify for one of the IEC programs, specifically the International Co-op program. And if this applies to you, then select yes. If it doesn't, select no, and then click Next. On the next page, you'll see two questions. So the first question is, do you have a signed letter of offer, contract of employment, or internship agreement from an employer in Canada? So guys, this is to check if you might qualify for one of the IEC programs, specifically the International Co-op or Young Professionals program. Now, if you intend to enter the working holiday pool only, then select no for this question, even if you are currently working in Canada. Let's move on to the second question. Are you registered at a college or university in your country of citizenship? So this one's pretty straightforward. If you are currently enrolled, select yes, and if not, select no. Click Next. All right, on the next page, you'll see your results based on how you answered the previous questions. So in my case, it says that I'm eligible to come to Canada under the IEC, and it shows that I qualify for the working holiday category. But, it might look different for you. Depending on your answers, you could see additional programs under the IEC, or it's possible that you might not be eligible at all. If you are eligible, follow along and click continue to proceed. Now, this is where we get into the meat and potatoes of applying for the IEC program, which is submitting your expression of interest to join the pool. This involves completing 4 sections of the form: your personal details, contact information, work and education details, and application details. I'll guide you through the questions in each section step by step, so let's jump right into it. All right, let's start with the personal details section. So I'm going to go ahead and press the button to continue the form. Under the personal details section, the form starts by asking your last name and first name. So make sure to type your name exactly as they appear on your passport or travel document. Click next. Next, under personal description, you'll see questions about your date of birth, country or territory of birth, city or town of birth, and gender. So your date of birth will already be filled in and cannot be changed as it's locked. So if you entered it incorrectly, you will need to delete this application and start again, following the steps we just covered. Moving on, for your country or territory of birth and city or town of birth, just fill these out as you normally would, making sure it matches your passport if this information is provided. And for your gender, use the drop-down menu to select the option that best applies to you. After that, click next. All right, let's move on to the marital status. So again, this is pretty straightforward. So just select the option from the drop-down menu that applies to you. Click next to continue. Now for the next part, ID documents, it is helpful to have your passport on hand to fill the questions here. So first you'll need to enter your passport number and of course re-enter it again. And it's followed by a question where it says country where it was issued. So this is, as you can see, already locked in since you've answered this question earlier. So just make sure that it's correct. And then it's followed by the issue date and expiry date. And so for these dates, just simply select the year, month, and day using the drop-down menus, and then click next. And again, I just want to emphasize, if you need to change any of the locked information, you will need to delete this application and start again. And finally, under immigration history and citizenship, you'll see questions about your current country or territory of residence, your country or territory of permanent residence, and your country or territory of citizenship. As you can see, these fields are locked because you've already answered them earlier, so just take a moment to double check that the information is correct. Also, before you proceed to the next step, you will need to press the validate button and save and exit to move on. Now let's move on to the next section, which focuses on your contact information. So to get started, click the button to open the form. The first question asks you to select your language of correspondence. So this is a language you'd like to use for messages, letters, and emails from IRCC. Most of you will likely choose English, but if you prefer French, go for it. Just make sure to select one and then click next. Moving on, you'll need to provide your email address. So make sure to follow the correct format as shown on your screen. And also keep in mind that this is the email where IRCC will send most of their messages, emails, and letters. So double check that it's accurate. Afterwards, click validate, save, and next. All right, let's move on to the work and education details section. So click the button to update the form and get started. The first part of this section is about your work history. So the questions here include, do you have a signed letter of offer, contract of employment, or internship agreement from an employer in Canada? And the second one is, do you plan to do a work placement or internship in Canada as part of your studies? As you can see, the answers to these questions are already locked because we filled them out earlier. And guys, this is why it's so important to ensure your answers are accurate the first time, as it's harder to make changes later if you've made a mistake. The same applies to the study history question. Are you registered at a college or university in your country of citizenship? So this question is also locked, so double check that the answers you provided are correct. Once you have reviewed everything, click validate, save, and exit. Finally, let's move on to the application details section. To get started, just click the button that says continue form. The first question is, you may be eligible for the working holiday category. Would you like to be added to the pool of candidates for this category? In most cases, you'll want to select yes, because if you select no, you won't be entered into the pool and won't have the chance to be invited to apply for this category. Also take note that I'm only seeing the working holiday question, but if I indicated that I had a job offer, I would see a similar question for both the young professionals and the international co-op programs. So it is important that you indicate yes to the pools you wish to enter. So for the purposes of this video, I'll select yes because we do want to be entered into the pool. And once that's done, just click validate, save, and exit. Moving on, now that we've filled out everything, you'll notice a few things. First, your status should say complete. If it doesn't, that means you've missed some questions, and the good thing is the system will indicate which section is incomplete, so just go back to that section and fill out any missing details. I'd also recommend doing a quick double check to make sure all the information you've entered is accurate and valid, and once you've reviewed everything, just click the continue button on the lower right-hand side of the page to proceed. After clicking continue, you'll arrive at the declaration and electronic signature page. So guys, this section is essentially a confirmation that everything you've answered is accurate and true, and that you acknowledge this. So make sure to read through the text carefully to fully understand the points IRCC wants you to be aware of. If everything checks out, select I agree, and below that, you'll also see a section asking for your signature. So simply enter your given name and last name, which serves as your electronic signature, confirming your agreement to submit the application. Finally, you'll need to answer a security question. So the question will vary for everyone, but it's just a way to verify that the person completing the form is you. So be sure to provide the correct answer to the security question that you set up when creating your account. Once everything is complete, click the sign button at the bottom of the page, and that's it. You'll be officially added to the pool of IEC candidates. All right, so that's a full walkthrough of how to fill out your IEC profile. So you've now completed your profile and are officially in the pool of candidates. We hope this walkthrough made the process easier for you, and again, all the best on your IEC application.